Hello again and welcome to World Talks on TVP World. My name is Kalczyńska and time to talk about migration in European Union. This topic is closed. With this wording, Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced that Warsaw will be exempted from the EU's new migration pact. Even though the decisions as to the future of the migration pact will only be taken in 2 weeks, Polish head of government says its conclusions will be favorable for Poland. So how did Poland use its leverage to get exemption from EU relocation mechanism? Let's turn to Piotr Kaczyński, EU Institutional Issues Lecturer, European Institute of Public Administration. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining.
So, good morning. It's nice to be back.
Let's start with the basics and with the news itself. What exactly does Poland's exemption from the EU migration relocation plan mean in practice?
Well, the most important element that, of course, a lot of people are paying attention to is the fact that Poland will not be obliged to take in migrants if it doesn't want to, that there's no force mechanism, and Poland will not have to pay for the migrants it will not take, which is option number 2 in this said migration pact. So the exemption will apply to Poland most likely, if the Prime Minister Tusk is correct, because Poland has taken in about 1 million Ukrainian refugees since 2022 who stay in the country. Over 4 million people have passed through the country, and this migratory situation is even more aggravated by the threats on the Polish-Belarusian border, which also are additional arguments in case for Poland that the special attention has to be given to that border.
All right, so the Polish administration conducted a true campaign. How difficult was it for Poland to secure this exemption? Was it as a result of tough negotiations with Brussels or early political groundwork within the EU Council?
I would say that it was easy peasy, because already 2 years ago, the commissioner at the time, Ilja Johansson, said that it's very likely that a country like Poland, in a situation like it is, will be exempted from the migration pact. So 2 years ago is exactly to the day when this government took office, won elections and then took office in December. But already about 2 years ago, the commissioner responsible for migration issues said that in case of Poland, calming the waters, there are those provisions on exemptions, and voila, right now we see this coming through. So I wouldn't say that it was super hard negotiations and you need to run a campaign to win this exemption. However, you had to take care of your own interests and your own wishes. So Poland doesn't want to participate in this scheme, and then there are provisions that allow for that.
Okay, so no press conference would begin differently than with Polish officials stating how much they already invested in the eastern border. And indeed, since Russia's full-scale invasion, Poland has registered around 1.4 Ukrainians under temporary protection, with millions more passing through. Poland has spent more than 470 million on securing its border with Belarus, including 370 million for a concrete steel wall. But solidarity doesn't stop at migration. It also means joint responsibility for defense and security, areas where Poland might expect help and assistance from its European partners. So do you expect Poland will have to somehow face the music one day?
Oh, let's be clear here. When Poles are getting exemption, they are getting exemption from that part on the migratory flows, that there won't be a migration coming to Poland from that actually goes to other countries, and then there's a relocation mechanism. But for example, the Migration Pact also includes Eurodac data system, where there is introductory of biodata of all the people coming into the EU for all the kinds of information that is in that data system, and Poland will fully participate in this because it's part also of the Schengen system. So it's not that we get exemption from everything, because there are some goodies, public goods, in this migration pact that Poland wants to stay in, and there's no problem in doing it as well. When it comes to security, of course, you are absolutely right to point to all those challenges that are on the Polish border, hybrid war with Belarus, with some pressures of trying to de-escalate since the Zapad trials. And also, of course, we are having this super difficult, unique situation with Ukraine, where those flows of migrants, they come regularly, and overall over 4 million people have passed the border. You mentioned 1.4 million people who have registered at one point or another. The figure I'm giving, which is above 900,000, is of permanent residents in Poland right now at the end of 2025.
All right. So how about framing this exemption? Is it an opt-out? And for how long is it going to be binding, right? And is it a permanent exemption we're talking about?
No, it's not a permanent exemption, and it's not an opt-out. Opt-out would be a horizontal opt-out from a law. Poland didn't get an opt-out from the Migration Pact. It's a temporary solution, and it will last as long as there are those temporary situations on Polish eastern border. When those reasons for suspension of those provisions is no longer there, Poland will be requested to return to the law. Dura lex sed lex. The laws are the laws. The work that the Polish officials who are critical of the Migration Pact begins now is that Migration Pact effectively enters into force mid-2026, and the Polish officials say that it is already outdated and it needs to be changed. So new works on the changes to the Migration Pact should be expected in this regard, and my understanding is that the Polish officials will do everything in their powers to make sure that the changes to the EU Migration Pact post-2026 will be more in line with Polish interests.
All right. Poland's big win on not taking EU migrants could potentially leave neighbors at a loss. Some other nations have also a reasonable claim here, like Romania, for instance, which also welcomed some 4 million Ukrainians crossing the border in 2022. But Romania still says that it's going to be absolutely honoring the whole Migration Pact and doesn't seek for any temporary solutions here. Why is that? And how do you perceive the situation in the region in this context?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, there's a number of countries that have very different approach. The Polish approach comes from a very peculiar domestic debate on migration. Migratory issues have been subject to narrative wars or wars on narrative between different political forces, and effectively dehumanizing people who are crossing the border wherever they're coming from, if they are tourists, even if they are migrants, if they are refugees, if they are economic migrants. A lot of issues are confluted together. Look, most countries are simply adopting the rules. Romania, you mentioned, Sweden, another one, the Czechs, and even the Baltic countries that have been so exposed because they are proportionately smaller. The situation is that this country asked for it, there are rules for it, and therefore it will be applied temporarily. Others will live with those rules, and they are not simply as bad as a lot of people in Poland tend to believe. Migration pact is realistic. It's a step up from the infamous 2015 rules, which were so-called solidarity mechanism, which was forcing countries to take in migrants with quotas. Here we don't have the quotas. The talk is that if you don't take the migrant, you have the right not to take the migrant, but then you have to participate financially in bearing the costs of migrants. So it's a much lighter system. Also, look, Poland is a country of immigration, that is a young country of immigration, and is only learning how to deal with the new situation here. And when Poland sees that the migration pact is implemented in other member states properly and without big hypes, maybe this will not be a problem for Poland to properly implement the migration pact with a little delay.
Piotr Kaczyński, EU Institutional Issues Lecturer, European Institute of Public Administration. Thank you, sir, for joining us this morning, and thank you for your insights.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching World Talks this morning. And please stay tuned to TVP World for more insights, comments, and updates.